Have you ever looked at your parents, or maybe your grandparents, and just wondered, how are they so calm? Well, today we're diving into this really cool idea called the analog brain. We're going to uncover the psychological superpowers that a whole generation grew up with, thanks to living in a quieter world, and see what we can learn from them. Let's get right into it.
Okay, first let's start with a feeling I think we all know. You know that antsy, twitchy feeling you get when the Wi-Fi suddenly cuts out, or you're stuck in a line without your phone, just you and your thoughts for 30 seconds? It really makes you wonder, why is simple, quiet boredom so terrifying for so many of us now?
And that's the big mystery we're unpacking today. How come a previous generation, especially kids who grew up back in the 70s, seemed to not just put up with boredom, but actually get good at it? It's almost like their brains were running on a totally different operating system. Now, here's the fascinating part. It's not that they were born tougher or were somehow smarter than us. Nope. The secret is all about the world they grew up in. Their environment was way less protective, a lot less stimulating, and there was hardly any supervision. And that, believe it or not, forced their brains to develop some pretty incredible strengths. So let's start with problem solving. Picture this. Back then, if you hit a snag, there was no rescue button. You couldn't just Google the answer or text a friend for the solution. You were forced to actually tinker with things, to try, to fail, and to figure it out all by yourself.
And that right there is the key. That whole process built a brain that really understood cause and effect. See, it wasn't about just finding the right answer, it was about understanding why it was the right answer. Every single struggle was literally building new roads in their brain. That's true problem solving, and it was born out of pure necessity.
All that necessity had a really cool side effect. It built calmness under pressure. An analog childhood was just filled with these little, real-world risks, getting a bit lost in the neighborhood, falling off your bike, having to wait for your parents to get home. Stress wasn't this big, scary thing to be avoided at all costs. It was just a part of life you had to learn to manage.
And the result of all that, you got a nervous system that was trained to handle a little bit of chaos. The brain learned that, hey, freaking out isn't the best strategy, and most problems work themselves out. Now, this isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's a superpower called natural emotional regulation. Being able to handle the chaos on the outside makes it way easier to handle the quiet on the inside. So, next up is solitude. In the analog world, silence was pretty much the default setting. Without a phone buzzing in your pocket or a constant stream of media, your brain was forced to look inward. It had to entertain itself, with imagination, daydreams, just noticing the world around you.
And this leads to a really profound idea. The fear so many of us feel today, maybe it isn't actually a fear of being alone. Maybe it's a fear of being unstimulated. The analog brain learned how to be good company for itself, and that gave it a deep tolerance for just being quiet.
And hey, when you're comfortable just chilling with your own thoughts, waiting isn't so bad, right? Which brings us to our next superpower, patience. Just think about it. If you wanted to watch a movie, you had to wait for it to show up on TV. If you wanted to call your friend, you might have to wait for someone else to get off the phone. The whole world just ran on a delay. This whole environment just naturally cultivated what we can call analog patience. The brain learned that waiting is a normal, unavoidable part of how things work. There's a scientific term for this. It's delay tolerance, and it's that crucial skill of being able to wait for a reward without getting all frustrated. All right, last one, self-discipline. And this connects right back to patience. See, when you know how to wait, you don't need someone watching you all the time. With way less supervision, no tracking apps, no constant texts from your parents, your actions had direct consequences, and you were the one who had to deal with them. If you didn't do your homework, well, you faced the music the next day. Simple as that. The result of this was really powerful. It created this deep internal sense of responsibility. You made decisions based on your own code, not because you were scared of getting caught. And that's the huge difference between true self-discipline and just doing what you're told. Okay, so that's the diagnosis. But here's the really good news. Those analog brain muscles, they haven't disappeared. They've just gotten a little lazy. But we can absolutely retrain them. And this isn't about some quick life hack. It's about setting up the right conditions for your brain to get strong again, just like going to the gym. First up, let's rebuild that problem-solving skill. The idea is to cut off that instant rescue button. And the practice is simple. It's the 20-minute rule. The next time you hit a problem, you are not allowed to look up the answer for a full 20 minutes. Just force yourself to think.
This kicks your brain's strategic thinking gears back into action and weans it off that cheap dopamine hit of an instant answer.
Second, let's build back our calm with some intentional, low-dose stress. Think of it like lifting weights for your nervous system. The practice? Do one safe but slightly uncomfortable thing each day. For example, instead of sending a text, actually make a phone call. The key is to just sit with that little bit of discomfort. It teaches your nervous system that it doesn't have to hit the panic button at the first sign of stress.
Third, let's get comfortable with silence again. Now, the goal here isn't to feel all zen and relaxed. It's just to observe your own mind. Try spending 20 or 30 minutes a day doing a simple task like taking a walk or doing the dishes with no music, no podcasts, zero distractions. You're probably going to feel really antsy at first. And here's the cool part. That's a good sign. That's your brain detoxing from all the constant noise.
Number 4 is all about rebuilding that analog patience, and we do this by creating intentional delays. It's simple. If you can get something instantly, make yourself wait. Wrote an important email? Wait an hour before you hit send. See something you want to buy online? Wait 24 hours. This little practice helps reset your brain's reward system so it stops craving that immediate hit all the time. And finally, our 5th exercise, rebuilding your internal self-discipline. The whole idea here is to do something disciplined that nobody else will ever see. So pick one small personal commitment and don't tell us all about it. No apps to track it, no posting about it on social media. The only person who knows if you did it is you. This builds this incredibly powerful internal compass where your self-worth comes from you, not from a bunch of likes. So if you only take one single thing away from all of this, let it be this simple rule. The sweet spot for growth is always right at the edge of your comfort zone. If an action makes you feel just a little bit awkward or challenged, but it's perfectly safe, that's the signal. That's your brain being forced to grow and build new, stronger pathways.
Which really leaves us with just one final question for you. Looking at these 5 areas, problem solving, calmness, solitude, patience, and self-discipline, where are you going to start? What's your first small, slightly uncomfortable step going to be to start reclaiming those superpowers of your own analog brain?